Great. Let me ask you one question. If you're sitting down with me and I'm a young entrepreneur and you just met me and we're at a fancy restaurant near Atlanta and you're talking to me about your success and you're interested in what I'm building and I'm looking at hopefully growing a company to 50 million. What would be the one thing if you could tell me one thing? You say, Robert, this is the one thing you got to think about or you've got to really understand as you go forward and start to face the wall. I call it the wall where you start hitting your head up against it and trying to figure out how to do it right. What would that one thing be?
Wow, the one thing. I think it's. I hate to do one thing because I think it depends on who the person is, right? I mean, every entrepreneur is going to have certain things they're really good at,
Sure.
certain things they're
I'll give you
really
some leeway.
bad
You
at.
could take 3 or 4 things if you'd like. You got plenty of leeway on this
So
interview.
yeah, so I mean, I guess the one overarching thing is figure out what you're not good at and get involved as quickly as possible who
Right.
can fill that gap. Because if you don't, that's going to be your Achilles heel. Um, I would say number two is you really need to think through your margins of your business and your and what the pressure on those margins may be as you get bigger, because you'll see a lot of people whose business may work at a local scale and then it breaks at a regional scale because they haven't thought about, hey, do I actually have a big enough market that I can serve with my delicious ice cream or my whatever it is that I sell. And so without having thought through that, I don't know, you can run into a lot of problems there.
Sure.
Um, and I would say maybe the other thing is the money and the capital side. Most young entrepreneurs, they think they know it and they just don't. And I would definitely put myself in that category. You think you understand it, you don't.
What do you mean by that? Like you like how much valuation or when to bring in capital or what do you mean by you think you know it? And
Yeah, well, I think number one, being realistic about your company's capital needs and where that capital can come from, and understanding that whole world. And yeah, I would say number two, putting a price on it. Is it better to go with mezz debt? Is it better to go with venture capital? Um, and again, what are the terms attached to any one of those? And what happens if things go south? What happens if things go well? And so to think through those things, I mean, there's so many people out there who have done it before and who know it. And you don't need. The other thing is, you really don't need to pay someone a huge retainer to help you through all these things. You certainly can, but there's plenty of people out there who are just interested in helping, and you just get yourself out there and start to meet them. You can get a lot of very good free advice, which you may want to run by someone else to be sure that it is in fact good advice.
right.
But yeah, so I think most young entrepreneurs really understand what venture capitalists are after in investments. They get the broad picture that it's they're after growth businesses, but they maybe don't get the details of how they want to get their money out and when they want to get their money out and what that means to you by taking their money.
Right. So it's about having those hard conversations up front, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Any other advice you have for me as the entrepreneur looking to grow in your footsteps?
You can work 500 hours a week if you want, but it's not going to make a lot of difference. Most of your important work is done by who you hire and how you capitalize the company and what your product and idea is. So some entrepreneurs just feel like they have to work themselves to death, and I don't really think that's an effective or healthy strategy.
Right. So you're at 31 million, looking at 35, well more than that, right? You're looking at 40 maybe in the upcoming years. What are the keys for Better World Books to get to the 60, 70, 100? What's the vision for Better World? I mean, do you guys have a real clear vision for the future, and what are the keys to get there?
We do. We have a real clear vision. I mean, our business depends on how many good books we get in the door and how many good customers show up at our website. I mean, those are the two keys. So we have strategies around each of those. Bringing books indoor, our existing strategies are good, and they're definitely bringing in a lot of quality books. But we need to keep innovating. We need to keep watching the market and seeing what anybody else is doing that's bringing in books. one thing we do now that we didn't used to is we buy books. So we used to just accept donations, but now we're going to college students and saying, hey, we'll pay you money for this and we'll still do good things on your behalf. So that's an example of a way we can grow supply. On the demand side, the online book selling world is billions and billions of dollars are spent on in online bookstores. And so our real question is just, can we provide an equivalent service and price to any of the big guys and beat them on who we are and on the mission and on our commitment and on our personality. And so we just try to do things. We try to find weak spots that we can exploit. And we have, by that I mean, we are in a unique position that we stock our own used books. So if you go to Amazon, you buy a used book, they don't stock it. They rely on someone like us to stock it and ship it. So we can do things like discounting on used books that they can never do. Or we can do cheap worldwide shipping on used books. So we'll ship a used book anywhere in the world for $4. Amazon could never do that because they don't control the stock centrally.
Right.
So we try to find where we have an advantage or anything else. That's where you push. And so we feel that we do have a compelling offering for pretty much everybody out there who buys books on the web. We just need to make sure we get in front of them, make sure we satisfy them the first time and the second time, and make sure they tell their friends.
Do you guys set goals? Do you guys set goals and objectives, or have a vision wrapped around your giving on that side of it as well? Do you guys set targets on that, or is it more just kind of a byproduct of running the business?
No, that's our goal on that is based on our year. So when we do a yearly financial plan, we try to plan a year ahead on the financials. We also have a giving away target built into that.
The line
so we do have some questions because some of the businesses some of our growth areas are businesses that have a lower margin to literacy, and so we do have to kind of balance that and say, is this a business we still want to be in? And if the answer is yes, then how do we structure it so that literacy does benefit, although maybe not to the same absolute percentage as it would benefit with something like libraries, where it's a very direct money going back.
Right. Very good. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I would love to talk to you again someday about maybe a more specific issue that you guys are facing. I know that a lot of the folks I'm talking to are wondering how to move into a more of a triple bottom line direction. I think that could be a whole roundtable discussion. I'm sure we could get a few people on the phone call to talk about that as well. Any quick advice on that?
Moving a company in a triple bottom line direction. Well, there's plenty of motivation within most big companies or even small companies to do it. So you got to identify those motivated employees and empower them to actually do something.
Right.
And then secondly, I think you got to identify what social or environmental impacts are core to your business. So if I'm Coca-Cola, it's probably water, and that's what you should be working on. I mean, if Coca-Cola's working on literacy, there's more of a disconnect there.
Right.
Coca-Cola can have a huge impact on water use. So, and then third, once the commitment's made, you can't just be a green team, right? It's got to actually be executive buy-in.
Yep.
And so if the executives don't buy in, nothing's really going to happen.
Yeah, top down, totally, absolutely. Very good. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I certainly appreciate your time today, Xavier, and it's wonderful to meet you. I'd love to shake your hand someday. I'm sure we'll cross paths very soon, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. I'm going to try to spread the word on Better World Books, and I think what you guys are doing is just fantastic. So thank you so much for your time.